It's Arrested Development Day here on the I almost said the Jack Yankees. Take two.
Good morning, glory. Say there, stop that yawning. A brand new day is dawning. Pull up the shade and let the sun come through. Good morning, glory. Spend about an hour underneath the shower and keep on singing like the birdies do.
It is Books of the Week on CPL Radio, the show that we get to do things that you all wish you could do, and that's talk about books to your computer. So, and sitting across from me at his computer is Steve Donahue in Boston, Massachusetts. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I had trouble this morning getting ready for Books of the Week. Was hunting online feverishly for the right green screen background. I finally found one with a needlepoint miniature schnauzer. It was really hard to do.
Very specific. I mean, just,
But the alternative would be for me to have a background of books that's real, and who has that?
I mean, nobody does that anymore. Those days are over.
My background would be just outdated KISS posters, and the last thing we want anyone on this show to have is a backdrop that is shameful. We don't want anything in the background that we don't want to see. Oh. Yeah.
There's no such thing as an outdated KISS poster, Steve, just so you know.
I forgot who I was talking to.
Always current. Makeup or no makeup, they're current. Today we're going to talk about, as I kind of barely hinted at the beginning of the show, we're going to talk about Kidlit, as they call it. We're going to get lit on Kidlit. It is a major force to be reckoned with in the book world, and thank God for that, frankly, because if we don't set the junior up with reading and a lifetime of reading, well, then this show goes away. Wait a minute. That's the wrong approach.
You don't want to go down that road.
No, absolutely. And suddenly books were ripped from children's hands across America. But we have a very robust kid library, children's library. What do they call it? Youth services is the name of the department. And I rated it this morning and grabbed a few of my favorites and a few of our patrons' favorites. And I know Steve may have a couple of his as well. I did want to start out with, actually, if you are as infantile as Steve and I, you actually could even write this stuff. I found this in there, Writing Irresistible Kidlit from Mary Cole, who actually has, I leafed through this morning over breakfast. This is actually really good if you want to go this route. She does a fine job of at least giving you an overview of what that lifestyle would be like. So kind of interesting.
Does an instructional book like that do well at the library?
Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. There's a lot of parents, a lot of moms, a lot of stay-at-home moms who have had to read to their children every night, possibly the same book every night for upwards of 5, 6, 8 years, whatever. And they actually believe, and probably rightfully so, that I could do this.
See, that takes more strength than I can imagine. All of the little ones that I've ever cared for have been a different species. They didn't know how to read, so I didn't have to worry about it. Although I can't help but wonder about the rumor going around Reddit that you chose kids' books because you were worried that we'd been a little incendiary on this show. Perhaps your guest was a little incendiary and needed to be brought into the land of warm fuzzies.
I mean, the fact that we had to purchase a cauldron of hot oil for the top floor while they were clawing at the building, yes, I think maybe it's time to be nice for a change.
Fine. I have a book. It's
Please.
A classic.
Yes.
It should be taught in every school. It's, of course, Romeo-saurus and Juliet Rex.
So, by William Stegosaurus Pier, who did this?
Oh, can we be friends?
Shocking.
My very first response to this book, believe it or not, and I'm sure our long-suffering listeners are going to believe it, was critical. It's a book called Romeo-saurus and Juliet Rex. And my first response was, those two dinosaurs didn't live anywhere near each other. They were millions of years apart.
Boy, oh boy, you those knives are so sharp over there.
Fun at parties. Well, this is wonderful. What have you got next?
I would like to show off one that I read in 6th grade while I was busy trying to not get held back. And it's Lloyd Alexander's The Black Cauldron, which is an old, essentially Tolkien ripoff.
But that probably looks new.
Newish. I'm Jewish, and this is newish. Yes. So, yeah, we did replace it. It's still going out. It's still circulating.
What about the big kids picture books at the library's Children's Services Center? Do they get beaten up?
Oh my gosh. Ravaged, savaged. Summer's coming. They take him to the pool. Occasionally, they cannonball into the pool with the book.
I would imagine that they would both get beaten up by patrons and also be really popular. Because kids' books are expensive. I mean, this thing is, what is this? I don't know if it'll say. Yeah, this was $18.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kids better get a job. School lunches.
If your library had a really good kids section, I would think it'd be a godsend.
We're doing very well. And of course, this is Cedarburg. We have a higher caliber of child.
All the children are above average. But, for my next pick, I have a mystery story.
Okay.
Which we are told on the cover that it's not so much the crime as the cover-up. It's who wet my pants.
Masterful.
where there are a whole bunch of suspects. All throughout the book, our friend the bear suspects one of them in turn, one after another. When really the book is about taking responsibility.
Being the advanced years that we are, this is a question you and I may ask once a week. Because it couldn't be us. Not a chance. Here's one that I know will be very close to Steve's heart. Here, the word dog is in it, and it is Dogtown. Catherine Applegate and Jennifer Cholodenko, but the illustrations are, the writing's fine. It's a classic sort of middle grade, but the illustrations are wonderful. It's from a guy named Wallace West, and I don't know his work, but I mean, tell me, Steve, that's absolutely a Yorkie. That is a Yorkie. And it's a hoot. It's about a dog who is sadly left at the pound. He is left at the pound with a bunch of robotic dogs. And I like the picture on the back here. So they're all basically recharging overnight, and he's on his leash trying to figure out what the hell he's supposed to do with it. So quite fun.
You show me these YA books, these books for older children.
Slightly, but this is not, because this is considered, the market is divided these days. They used to call them chapter books, and now they call them middle grade, and it's kind of probably age 8 to 12. So we're just on the cusp of middle school with a little higher end elementary there. And that's a big market around here.
I've heard many stories from lifelong readers that they went to their library with their parents over and over and over again. They checked out as many books as they could. They were very scrupulous about it, brought them back on time in good condition.
Yes.
Being known at the library as diehard inveterate readers. And many of those people told me stories about the wonderful moment when the librarian said, well, within limits, you can now borrow anywhere in the library. We recognize that you are a real adventurous reader, and you've already gone through all the books at your age level. Does that happen at the Cedarburg Public Library? Do you get real true blue readers?
Yes. I mean, that certainly. It doesn't happen as much as we would like, of course, but we definitely can identify upwards of 12 to 15 who have not only exhausted our collection, but we're part of a system, and they're on the verge of exhausting the system's collection. So
what is the library's policy in terms of opening up the rest of the stacks to someone like that?
If we have an 8-year-old who wants to read Tolstoy, enjoy yourself, Johnny. There are no barriers.
Does your library have 2 different cards, one for kids and one for adults?
No, that used to be like that, and those days are over. We give you a card, and the world is yours. Sorry, politicians.
dogs love books.
Oh, very nice. That's a great
I have
illustration.
never known this to be true. There are some of our candidates there.
That's
I've
great.
never known dogs to love books except as between meal snacks.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know how many books I've lost to ravenous beagles. No idea. And
Those
like
same,
all
yeah.
things, when dogs misbehave, whether it's going in the house or chewing something that you really like all things, when they're long gone and you miss them, you'd gladly take that misbehavior back.
Yeah.
You start to look at that misbehavior with affection.
Certainly.
Which can change. What makes it a little awkward. I was watching a video that someone posted online of their dog destroying a book. Only I was watching it with herself. I was watching it with my imperious, bossy little miniature schnauzer, and she was watching appalled.
She would.
Why are you letting him misbehave? Why are you letting him misbehave like this? Why are you doing this? And the end, when the dog finishes destroying the book and looks up happy at the camera, she took things up a notch and said, he should probably die.
Having watched your videos as long as I have, that same schnauzer, when she was a puppy, I remember would shred all of your mailing envelopes.
Only when when she was a little puppy, I would get books in the mail, and when I was done with the packaging, I would hand it to her, and she would tear it apart like a Tasmanian devil. But if you watch those videos, you'll see that fraction of a second when a 9-month-old puppy is saying, "Are you sure there's nothing in this? I will destroy package. I will destroy packaging, but I make sure there's no book in it." That's right.
Have you removed the invoice before I destroy? Yeah.
So now I do. When I see videos of dogs misbehaving, I do look at them with a little wistful sentimentality because my dog does not misbehave and also does not tolerate it in other dogs. So I'm flashing up a little send help semaphore.
Uh-oh. Send your puppies to Steve Donahue. We seem to be leaning into, and animals are big. I mean, kids love animals, of course. But this woman is a really interesting writer. And this is Flora and Ulysses from Kate DiCamillo. And she is interesting because this is something that I'm finding middle grade early reader chapter book writers can do. They can actually deal with some pretty dark, searing stuff. And they have
that you don't have to sugarcoat it for kids. You just have to make sure it's at their level.
Right. I mean, and there are guardrails there. Yeah, there
are guardrails, but children are endlessly curious about these things. You're not doing them or yourself any favors to just deny they exist.
Right. There's so much death.
Kate DiCamillo's name. Why do I know her name? Is she right because of Winn-Dixie?
That is her. That is her first book, actually. Yes.
Oh man, what a book!
Wonderful book. Everything she does has a relatively dark edge to it, but she handles it in such a matter-of-fact, cheerful sort of way that, I mean, I don't know a single one of her books that doesn't dabble in death at some point. So give it a look, kids. Do you have another on your pile?
I do indeed. My final pick is, well, I'm not saying that it's an allegory of CPL Radio's Books of the Week, but
oh, I love that book. I love
my poor producer down there. He doesn't know what's watching him. This is a wonderful story about a boy who goes to another planet on a school trip, hoping to see an alien, and doesn't. Nobody on the school trip does, but only because the alien's wondering, why aren't you looking at me? Why aren't you looking in my direction?
Why aren't you looking at me?
But it's utterly charming.
That's wonderful artwork, and I'm going to wrap up on two.
It's very crayony.
Yes,
very broad strokes, crayony, very nice.
And illustration is such an important part of that world, of the kidlit world. So I grabbed this. I haven't read it, but I did want to underscore the fact that there is a crisis, I would say, in male readers, certainly in adult fiction as well as kid fiction. I mean, I will say that those 12 to 15, committed readers that I was telling you about, I would probably 90% of them are girls, and that is unfortunate. And I just wanted to show that even a hockey book called Game Face can come out for young readers. Sherry Green wrote this. Making the next save is the least of his worries. So yeah, it's a book about lacing up the skates and the pads and slamming into each other, and there's probably some life lessons in there too, I imagine. But Game Face is something, and girls can read that too, of course. It's not like it has to be, but it's a weird, yeah.
Disturbing to hear that boys drop off from reading in high school, but you're saying it happens much earlier than that.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, we'll see a lot of boy readers up to probably 5th or 6th grade, and I think now it's as low as middle school where they're dropping off. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
If they don't keep themselves in books, they'll never be able to be on CPL Radio's Books of the Week. I
mean, living the dream. Come on. You too can be kicked around by a Boston book critic, kids. I thought I'd show you another
illustration is very important, which is why we're having so much trouble finding an illustrator for CPL Radio Books of the Week, the graphic novel.
Or the sign.
Yeah, or a sign.
Please help me out here, people. Send a sign as quickly as possible. I thought you had an interesting other thing you may or may not be aware of in the kidlit world, and that is something they call these. What are these called? They have a name. They are called Wonder Books. And Wonder Books, this is Humphrey, and Humphrey, of course, is a series of the classroom pet hamster. And look at this, Steve. This is really interesting. This is an audiobook player. So basically you can read along, you'll read along with the book, and it's sort of attached right to the cover itself, and gets a little dinged up. You're talking about condition, just because it doesn't exactly fit very well, but it works, and kids love them. And yeah, you just fire it up. You can see the lights on there, and if I press play here, I don't know if it'll talk. We can hear it, maybe.
You are in learning mode. If you want to listen to this book, slide the mode switch to the left.
There we go. So that's Humphrey. Visit Summer According to Humphrey in Wonder Book form. We have a bunch of them here. And again, it helps. Okay, she's still talking. Hang on. Okay, darling. Okay, we're all done. Okay, there we go.
Don't you wish real women had a button like that? All right, all of our women, they all want to kill us anyway.
How can we get canceled on the kid literature show? I swear to God.
Canceled on the kids book show.
Only us. Only us. I swear. Well, we've misbehaved. We're going to the principal's office. And yeah, I guess just final summation. If you're having a challenging day, go to your local Barnes & Noble or any bookstore or your library. Start walking through the children's section and buy something, and you're going to feel better. Because there's a strange inherent, even in the books that deal with death, there's an inherent optimism in reading this level of book. And I'm finding that more and more as I'm getting older.
Or even a lower level. Even these picture books.
Yeah, picture books, yeah.
It's going to pick up your hour. It's going to make you feel happier for an hour. With no kid in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the clerk might look at you funny, but that's okay. What clerk doesn't look at us funny, Steve?
We're well accustomed to that.
You should see what the Dunkin' Donuts person looks out. She looks at me. Let's not go there. So that's a quickie version of Books of the Week. And I would like to remind you all, this week I did post a video from our Patreon page. And we're having fun over there, too. And getting into even more trouble as far as I can tell. And you just have to pony up a very small amount of coin, just a little. I mean, or maybe you can use, crypto. I don't know. You can use, it seems to be all the rage right now.
I'm pretty sure that crypto has not caught on in this concept.
Oh no, we had cryptosporidium in our water about 10 years ago, so there was that. But there's the address, patreon.com/books of the week, and join us if you would. It's a wonderful thing. In fact, we're going to make a video right after this, just for full disclosure and transparency. We're going to talk about the recent film awards, the Oscars.
And keep in mind, we don't get that money.
No.
If you are kind enough to join the Patreon, that money does not go to us. because my producer works for the Cedarburg Public Library, and I am the book section editor of Big Canoe News in Northern Georgia. So we're rolling in dough.
Come on. You know?
Money does not go to us.
So obviously, and if we got the money, let's be frank, we wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. I can't figure that stuff out. I listen to Dave Ramsey every day, and you know, and he told me that God doesn't like me. So there we go. There's the address, and of course, this show is made possible. Speaking of the friends, by the friends of the Cedarburg Public Library, a powerful juggernaut of a group. Oh, yes,
One of whom has a little panel underneath their shirt. If you press a button, they also emit an audio message. So the next time you're at a public meeting of Cedarburg Public Library Friends of the Library, I want you to go up to each friend and abruptly pull up the
Steve said.
He told me to do it on Books of the Week.
And Lord knows they listen to us. We're like Merrill Lynch. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Get some kids' books. If you have some kids, definitely get some kids' books, because we need to get some readers out there, because without that, what are we? So take care. We'll see you soon. Maybe we'll see you over at Patreon. Bye, y'all. Thank you. Look at that. 21 minutes and 41 seconds, huh?